When harvested crops are entered into new crop production, a raised crop inventory is increased and offset with a change in raised crop revenue. When you actually sell the crop, that same inventory needs to be reduced and again offset with that change in raised crop revenue, in addition to recording the cash and the revenue accounts for the amount of the actual sale. That's all done for you by the use of the template of selling raised crop. We're going to go to Processes and Sales and enter a receipt. The same entry will be done as a receipt or as a customer invoice. If you're not really receiving the cash yet, but you're wanting to record the sale, then you'll want to use a customer invoice, and it will be offset with accounts receivable at that time until you actually receive the cash. In this case, we're just going to do a cash receipt and select our bank account. And we can select the date that we're going to be selling this inventory and who we're receiving it from. So we're going to actually sell some from the elevator that's being stored there. So we're going to select our Red Wing elevator. We can enter the amount here that we want if we know what that is already. So we're going to put an amount in there and a payment type of a check, and then come to our account. In our account, we can start with the sale of our crop that we're selling. So in this case, it was our corn sale. So it brought up our sales of corn. And notice that our detail button is red. That indicates that we need to go to the detail screen in order to complete this entry. And in this case, our default template has been set. If you want to check what the default template is on the account that you're using, you can highlight that account again, right-click in that field and go to Edit. That'll bring up the account detail for this particular account. And there is a Template tab. In the Template tab are the different entry types, and we're going to expand Receipts and New Receivable. And if we select Account Selected, we can see that currently the default template is DT Sell Raised Inventory. If you're typically going to be selling out of inventory when you use this account, and this template says DT Increase Revenue, perhaps, then you can change that template. Just click your lookup and select the template you want out of the templates that you see here, and that will be the new default so that you don't have to change it. And now we're going to go and we can put in the amount of bushels that we want to be selling. So we're going to sell 20,000 bushels. And we need to go to our detail button. So in our detail screen, first it lists what template is being used, and you could change the template at this point too if you needed to. So if that was coming up as DT Increase Revenue and you wanted DT Sell Raised Inventory, you can change that template. That'll change the fields that you see on the detail screen. And now we can go through the different fields and fill in what's needed in order to sell this particular crop. So it came in with our 75,000. That's the amount of the actual sale. We're selling the 20,000 bushel. We don't need a quantity two. We need to select the inventory that we're selling. So we're going to select our lookup of inventory corn. If you want to see what's out there as far as the balances, you can click this lookup button on the inventory. That'll give you what's currently on hand on that inventory. And now we can select our sales of corn, which is the account that we started with, so it filled it in for us, and any other production details that we want to record. So we're going to go ahead and fill in the profit center. We don't know the production center detail anymore. A lot of different production details were dumped into this one inventory location. The year is 2019 that we're selling, and the inventory location is the elevator. Notice when I selected the elevator, then it pulled in the details for that inventory balance detail, and it lists our inventory price at $350, and the inventory adjustment will be $70,000. Based on the amount that I put in, my sales price is going to be $375. those are the different details that you need for selling this inventory. And if we click OK, we can expand this journal row and see what's going to happen. So our cash is going to be debited, increased for the $75,000. Our change in raised crop is going to be debited, so it's going to decrease that revenue. It increased when we put in new production. We're taking it out now, so it's going to again decrease. Our sales of corn is going to increase the revenue by $75,000, and our inventory is going to be decreased by $70,000. So if we were to look at an income statement, an accrual income statement, we would see a difference of $5,000 net for this particular entry that we're doing, and we'll look at that in just a second. All of the details are here as we need it, and you can actually, if you wanted to see other details of what's getting recorded to each one of these journals, you can turn those details on as well by a right click and add remove columns. We can enter a memo if you need it, but at this point we're ready to save this transaction. And that's going to record all of those journals. If you want to go up to reports and see what happened, we're going to go to a financial statement and do an income statement just on that month of December. In the sample data, that's the only thing that's going to be in there at this point. And on our income statement accrual, we have the sale of corn for the $75,000, and then our adjustment to change in raised crop, which came out at $70,000, leaving us with a net of $5,000 in this time frame of December. When the new production was put in, we'll go and do September. When the new production went into these inventories, we see that's when the change in raised crop was increased. And at the same time, some costs came out of expensing our work in process accounts. So that is the accrual picture. If we were to look at the whole year, then those get all added together. When all of your inventories have been sold, your change in raised crop inventory net will come to zero. And the actual sale will be represented by the your individual crop sales accounts. Another report that's handy of tracking your inventory for your sale of raised crop inventories is under transaction reports and then inventory and inventory account activity. I've got that set here to this year, and I've selected our inventory corn that we've been working with. If you preview that, that'll give you all of the activity that's happening, and we're going to add some columns and groupings to make this a little bit more usable. So we're going to go to columns and go to available, and we want to add some columns for inventory location and production year. And go to the selected. We don't need quantity 2 in this case. I'm going to take those out and move these up before amount. And then we're also going to go to the group and groupify those details also. And you'll see what that's going to do for you. I'm going to pick production detail, production year and inventory location. Go to selected, and I want those grouped, and I want that grouped right underneath name and location right under, location right underneath production year. I've highlighted inventory location, click my green up arrow, and now I have them ordered how I want, because that's how I am also storing details on my inventory. Production year first, and then inventory location. And it'll still order my entries under that by date and number. Now if we refresh, we get a report on each one of our different production years that's had activity, and you can see where that's zeroed out. And down at the bottom is our 2019 with the activities that have happened, and here is the sale that we just did that took $20,000 out of the elevator location at the $70,000. And if you needed to edit one of these transactions at this point, you can always click on that row, and that would bring up the transaction so that you could review those entries. Those are a couple of reports that are handy for doing your sales of raised crop inventory, and we'll have another session of selling raised crops that do not come out of inventory, but just direct from field.